Hi, Yestin from Yestin Evans Fly Fishing here. Today we're tying a Partridge and Orange, a really simple fly, very easy to tie. It's based on the old-fashioned North Country Spiders pattern. Give the reference to the book. It's also really easy to fish. You can fish it down and across, dead simple. You can fish it upstream and fish it back. Hugely effective. Trout and grayling both love it, and it's probably my go-to fly when I'm on my local rivers here in South Wales if I want to search patterns and figure it out. It doesn't really imitate anything in particular, but it also looks broadly familiar to a lot of different things. So great pattern, easy to tie, one I think you'll really enjoy fishing. So look, we're starting off with a size 14 Phasna dry fly hook. You can fish it on a heavier hook. It will just get it down a bit more. Typically I tie them in either quite heavy or quite light hooks. I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference though, so we've gone with a 14 dry fly hook here. Thread is tying silk. You can use any thread you like. The traditional version uses tying silk, but you can use thread. My advice would be use very fine thread though. Don't go 8/0, go 12 or preferably 18 or 70 denier in whichever colour you want. You can always wrap multiple layers on it if you don't think the colour's vibrant enough, but using really thick thread actually could cause you a problem when you go to tie the head, because then your head will look pretty unsightly. So I've started this one off with the orange silk. I'm going to tie all the way down, and what you're aiming to do is get it broadly in line with the hook point, like so. I'm going to tie in a silver wire rib. It's very thin, so thin you can't see it almost. Very thin silver wire, and I'll just tie it along the top of the hook just to keep the body symmetrical. And I'll tie it in, and I'll come back down and just tidy that up, straighten it with my fingernail a bit. Just come down, tie it in all the way down, and then I'll just go back up, winding again to make the body as consistent as I can. This lens will make it look a lot more inconsistent than my eye will, because it's a macro lens. But what you're aiming to do is get a broadly flat body, 4 or 5 turns of tying silk, of wire, 3, 4, and then just tie that off there, and then you'll notice I've left a reasonable space at the front for the hackle, and you should always leave 2 or 3 mil. It doesn't matter if you end up a little bit further back, but it will matter if you crowd out the eye. The hackle is a very simple English partridge feather, like so. This is a female, it's a bit more mottled. The male ones are almost all white, but I kind of like the mottled ones, so I'm using that. Again, the fish won't really see any difference. Because you're fishing them on the swing, they'll whiz past the fish regardless. So does it make much difference? I don't think it does. So I've taken off all the rubbish at the bottom of the hackle. Now the trick with these things is making them look sparse. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip one side of the hackle out. Now I'm going to do it on this side because there's a bit of damage on the feather. So you just strip off all the hackles down that one side, leaving a small tying in point. Now do it a couple of breaky at a time, because otherwise you'll damage the stem of the feather. So if you just do it nice and simple, and you can see there I've managed to get back to one side of the hackle, and I've left a little tying in point at the end there. So what I'll do is I will shorten that bit. Sorry, I'm just trying to line this up. Shorten that bit there into a tying in point, and I'll do that by cutting off the end, like so. So I've just got a little tying in point there, and what I'll then do is just tie in at the head there, and then I'll fold that tag end back, and I'll just wind up a couple of touches. So what you can see there now is right here I've got 2 or 3 mils of thread. Right here I've got 2 or 3 mils of thread that I can just wrap that hackle around, and that will just make this really easy. So you can use your fingers if you want, but I tend to use a pair of hackle pliers, very simple hackle pliers, and I'll just grab the end of that feather there and I will wind with the flow. So I will go 1, probably do 3 turns, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's plenty. I tend to like sparser flies. It's up to you. You can wind more on if you choose. Again, I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference to the fish. It's aesthetics. And one of the things about flies is, you know, you want to be confident in the flies you tie, so you tie it to your taste. So I'm just going to take off that. Now you'll notice when you tie these things that you'll get, like, that one is a little bit wayward. So just draw everything back and just a couple of wraps, and that just takes everything to where it needs to be, lines everything up. What you can also do then is put in the whip finish. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull that off. If you keep the thread under tension, if you're using a blade, I use a scalpel, £1.50 on Temu. You can put it under pressure and you've only got to touch the thread and it will come away. Then with your bobbin, just separate out some of the hackles. So some of them will just stick together, look like they were on the feather. And what you're looking to do is just separate them out and move them around a bit. Once you've separated them, they will flay themselves. There you go. That's it. I notice I've got a little bit of just rubbish on the bottom there. I'll use my cautery just to get rid of that, tidy it up. Be really careful though, because you don't want to burn the hackles on the thread. If I take that forward, there we have it, the finished partridge and orange. Doesn't look like much. It almost looks too simple to be true, but what you will find is that that fly will fish beautifully well, and it will fish beautifully well, it will swing, and it will bring you a lot of fish. It's a lovely quick pattern to tie, doesn't take a lot of effort, doesn't take a lot of materials, it's pretty quick. If you keep it sparse, it's a lot easier, but that will fish perfectly well, and it will bag you a lot of fish during your season. Fishes at any time of the year, multiple species, and it's one of my go-tos. So enjoy tying it, good luck fishing it, see you next time.